We're a charity that's mainly for people with learning disabilities. We've been around since 1991, so we're coming up to our 25th year anniversary next year. So we're a long-established charity. We've worked for years in Gateshead, and then we developed and branched out to work in South Tyneside. And now we work in Gateshead, Newcastle, North Tyneside, South Tyneside, and we do little bits of work down in Middlesbrough and occasionally up in Northumberland as well. We provide a range of different services, mainly advocacy services. So an advocate is somebody who will speak up for you if you've got an issue or a problem, or support you to speak up for yourself. So we provide a case advocacy service that works on a referral basis. So we ask people to fill in a referral form that tells us what the problem is, and then we give them an advocate, and the advocate will work to support them to kind of get the outcome that they want from whatever that problem is. But we provide a range of different services and a range of different advocacy services. More and more in recent years we've developed it to provide some of the statutory advocacy services that have developed over the last few years. So IMCA and IMHA and Care Act advocacy, RPR and DOLS, they're all examples of advocacy services that are specifically kind of enshrined in law. So there's legislation that says that in certain circumstances somebody has to have an advocate, and we provide some of those services for some of the local authorities round about. We provide a number of different services that are a bit more around supporting people to live the lives they want to live. So we have a drop-in that we run every Friday here at our offices in Gateshead, where people can drop in if they've got a problem or an issue. We have volunteers and advocates available to help them sort out whatever that problem is. So typically people will drop in with issues because they might have got into a bit of debt trouble, or perhaps the benefits have changed, or they want to apply for some benefits. Sometimes people just turn up because they're a little bit lonely and isolated and they want to be better connected. And a big part of what we want to do with that drop-in is to help people be well connected. So the plan for the future is to hold those drop-ins in different areas and locations across Gates and South Tyneside, so people can come to us easily, find us easily, rather than having to maybe travel to the centre of Gateshead where we are at the moment. We run a travel buddy service, so we support people with learning disabilities to learn to travel routes independently and safely. And again, we use volunteers to act as travel buddies to support somebody to, first of all, learn a route, and then to kind of observe them and make sure that they can travel that route safely, and provide them with any resources that they need to help them learn that route safely. And we support a number of self-advocacy and user-led groups. So there's two main self-advocacy groups we support: Gateshead People, who are based just around the corner in Swinburne House. They're another long-established group. They've been running for longer than our charity has, so over 25 years now. And they're an active group who campaign for the rights of people with learning disabilities. They support each other to speak up for the things that are important to them. They'll work with the council, with the health service, with other providers to make sure the services that people with learning disabilities receive are good and doing the job that they're supposed to do. There's another group in South Tyneside that we actually helped to set up called Talk to Us, and again they're another group that's all about campaigning and about supporting each other to speak up for what's important. And those groups have done some really good work in and around Gates and South Tyneside over the years. Some good examples would be the work that they've done around hate crime, raising awareness of hate crime against people with learning disabilities, helping to deliver training that supports people to have the skills they need to be safer and to report hate crime. They've also set up safe places in and around Gateshead and South Tyneside, which are places that people can go if they're feeling scared or vulnerable, and these would typically be services or businesses in the local community, so banks or libraries, cafes, and the advocacy groups will go out and engage with those businesses, give them the support they need to become a safe place and the training they need to make sure that if people are in trouble, they can drop in and they get the help that they need. There's a couple of involvement groups who we work with and support. There's Equal People in South Tyneside and the IN team, the Involvement Now team in Gateshead. And both of those groups work to gather the views of the learning disabled community across a range of different subjects, and then to feed back those views to the decision makers in each of the different boroughs. So that might be the council, it might be people in health, it might be service providers. So their aim really is to give a voice at a kind of decision making level to people with learning disabilities. We have a handy helper service where we're working in partnership with Age UK, Gateshead and Site Service, and the plan is there to provide free handy helper support to anybody who's a vulnerable person, whether they're an older person, somebody with sight loss, or somebody with a learning disability. And we're trying to run a social prescribing pilot again with Age UK, Gateshead and with Site Service, and that's about GP practices referring people to us who they think have an underlying health need that might be best addressed through a social activity. So it might be there's a need for them to be more active, they might be a little bit socially isolated, they might be a bit lonely, they might be low in mood. The idea is they come to us and we prescribe them with an activity that's paid for, and our volunteers will work with the person to, first of all, to make sure they can get to the activity and take part in it, but also to try and make sure that the activity is sustainable after the 10 sessions that are paid for have kind of been and gone. And again, we run that through our drop-in, so we ask people to come down and drop in to make use of that service, and the idea is that then they get to be around the advocates and the other activities that are happening, and hopefully it kind of helps them to be better connected. If people want to access any of those services, the best thing to do is to ring us. Our number is 0191 478 6472, or they can go on our website and there are details about how to get in touch, email addresses, and also the referral forms that people can fill in to tell us what the problem is. But the easiest way somebody could get in touch with us would be to come down on a Friday to the drop-in. It operates between 11 and 2:30. There'll be people around every Friday, and if you've got a problem or an issue, or if you want to find out more about what we do, come to the old bank on Swinburne Street in Gateshead, to our offices at Your Voice Counts.